Santosh. Okay.
Discipline.
Discipline. You already have it, right? Why do you need again?
Everyday discipline playing.
Yeah, every day you are already learning discipline, so we don't need again discipline. Okay, then. Great. Give your next 1 hour time, 1 hour attention, energy. Hopefully, I made it very short presentation, but don't know how I will explain. Either I can complete it within 1 hour or more than 1 hour. Okay, then yeah. So I'll give the clue to you with my first slide. You guess it. And guys, please be aware of whether you are on mute or unmute and check always because we are more people here. And so it may be disturbing to others. It will be difficult for me. Please mute yourself now. It's not needed. And when I open the first slide, I ask you to just check it and guess it. If you guess, then unmute yourself and tell me the answer. Again, after that, mute yourself. Clear? Okay, then. Who is that making sounds? Please mute yourself. Sai Nivas and who else? Yeah, I can know here who are all unmuting, okay? But I am keep telling you to mute yourself. Okay, then let's start. So, yes, you can guess the answer.
Spectacle.
Meditation.
Meditation.
Spiritual.
Like
Related.
devotional.
Spiritual.
About spiritual side.
Respect, sir.
Spiritual, sir.
Respect.
Devotional.
Devotional.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Connecting our hands to the mind.
Oh,
Connection between hands and mind.
yes, you can prepare that topic for your presentation, okay? Yeah, so fine.
It is about gratitude, I think so.
Yes, exactly. So today's topic is about gratitude, okay? So the science behind the gratitude, why exactly we need to follow gratitude? What are all the benefits in our lives when we follow the gratitude? And also, what are all the scientific reasons behind the gratitude? What exactly you get the benefits out of it? How you should follow by using scientific methods. Generally, you follow different ways, right? But today I'll be explaining you by using a lot of scientific data how gratitude can help us in our life to change our life, the way we live our life. So very important, very amazing content I have ever gathered so far. Give your full attention here. And so far, whatever you have watched, right, all the presentations will be useful here, the knowledge of those particular presentations. So yeah, without wasting much time, try to understand what is gratitude and how it is useful in our life, how to practice it, what are all the scientific benefits, and so forth. Okay. Yeah. So what exactly the gratitude is about? It's a positive feeling. Okay. Gratitude is a positive feeling or emotion, the response to receiving something of value. It could be tangible, intangible. Tangible, nothing but what we touch. So suppose if you see the airports or anything, whatever you touch, that could be tangible. Intangible means something you cannot touch. Obviously, you cannot touch love. You cannot touch air. So like that, whatever you cannot touch, that we call it as a intangible. Whatever we touch, we call it as a tangible. So gratitude is a kind of emotional response towards something. Whenever we receive something, the kind of emotional response which we show to the people, that we call it as a gratitude. And this is one of the very important emotional positive feeling among all the other positive feelings. And by gratitude, if you start learning how to practice gratitude, there are n number of benefits you can expect out of this particular emotion. And this is the one of the emotion which will be having so much of health benefits and so many psychological, physiological benefits. And let's understand what exactly gratitude and how it works and how it is related to so many other things in our life. And before that, do you know, like the study shows that practicing gratitude can be make you feel happier more meaningful and joyful and great life experiences. Most of the time nowadays, people feeling like there is no happiness in my life and I'm not at all feeling any great thing in my day-to-day life. So there could be so many complaints about what is not going great in their people lives. But this one element of gratitude, if you can include in your day-to-day life, the way you experience the life could dramatically change. So, and this was completely proven by so much of science and by using lot of brain functional related MRI scans, which are showing that what are all the great benefits we can get out of this gratitude practice in our day-to-day life. So let's see what exactly the feeling great and getting the meaningful life and joyful and great life experience, how it is possible with the gratitude. What exactly happening inside us in brain and body, how it help us to get that kind of feeling in our life. So for that to understand, you should understand two psychological concepts which I have already explained, but not in this format, but in other way I have explained in a previous presentation, but that's not needed. Let's understand from the beginning again what exactly I am trying to explain to you here. So there are two words you should understand here. One is a pro-social and another one is a defensive. And these are all related to psychology terms, pro-social behavior and defensive behavior. So what exactly pro-social behavior versus defensive behavior? If you understand this, then you can understand what I am going to explain in upcoming slides. So how many of you know this image? What we call it as?
Seesaw.
Pizza.
Seesaw. So what it do, it will move like this, right? Every time when somebody sits there, and whenever there is heavy weight outside, then it will be inclined to that side, and whenever there is light side, it will go up, and whenever there is a heavy side, like heavy weight, there it will go down. So you might aware of. So you think of that, this pro-social and defensive are like a two sides of this seesaw. Pro-social and defensive are the two sides of the seesaw. It will move like like this, okay? And if you see defensive is on the right side, just don't take the image as seriously, but generally I kept like this. So what exactly the left side is? Left side is something related to pro-social and right side is related to defensive. And first left side is when it comes to pro-social. Pro-social behavior is a behavior which allows you to bring some things closer towards different things. It will enable you to move something towards or make something closer to you. So that kind of behavior we call it as a pro-social behavior. If you see two people, one person is very extrovert in going and meeting and talking to the people and making them as a friends. That kind of behavior we call it as a pro-social behavior. Whereas a defensive behavior, if you see some of the people very introvert and they don't love to talk to and they always reserve themselves. And even somebody asks them to speak also, they are not ready to speak and they are not ready to mingle with, and they are very less likely to make the friends. They always try to be in a constant fear and always reserve themselves. That kind of behavior we call it as a defensive behavior. Most of the time these people tend to avoid interactions. These people always avoid going to different places and meeting new people, and these people always live in a constant fear. We call that kind of people as a defensive people. Either they are ready to run away from the people or either they are always ready to fight with the people. That kind of people we call them as a defensive behavior people. Okay, defensive behavior people. So think of as a seesaw, there are two sides. Only one side will be like a defensive and other side will be a pro-social. And there is only one chance for us to be either pro-social, either defensive based on one particular situation. In any particular situation, either we can be pro-social, either we can be a defensive. So in that aspect, in our brain, if you think of your brain, I think you have watched a lot of brain presentations from past 3-4 days onwards. In that brain, there are different circuits. Think of your brain like electrical circuit in your home. And in that way, there is a one particular area, completely one area is completely designed for pro-social behavior. Completely one area of your neurons is designed for completely pro-social. And there is other side of your brain is completely having the connections which are related to defensive behavior. So think of like here in this image, think of that yellow color related neurons are related to pro-social, and whereas the blue color related are all defensive behaviors. In that means most of the time your brain either activates that yellow color circuits or either blue color circuits. And whenever yellow color circuits are activated, you are most likely a pro-social person who will be always ready to interact. Whereas if your blue color circuits are highlighted or activated, you more like to be reserved and not ready to open up and interact with the people. So these are the two behaviors are very much important in understanding, and the way we lead our life is going to be decided by these two particular terms called pro-social versus defensive. And coming to the pro-social, this behavior much likely useful in lot of areas, and defensive is always about saving our life. Why exactly we reserve ourselves means whenever we feel there is something threat, and we always like to save ourselves and protect ourselves, whereas the pro-social behavior is all about networking and connecting and growing ourselves, and it's related to growth, and second one related to protection. This particular system, the defensive system, is designed in our life to save our lives in so many areas, in so many threat or in dangerous situations. But as I have explained in a lot of presentations also in the past, most of the time you are very less likely to be in a dangerous situation. And in this class also, if I ask you to speak now in front of this many people, what most of the people prefer, they try to be more of defensive. Why? Because in their brain certain area circuits will be activated and they made them to be feel like that. But whereas a pro-social behavior is something will able to connect and get the opportunities in your life. You can be introvert, but definitely not in a job interviews and group meetings. At the time, if you keep your mouth shut and then wanted expecting that you will get a great opportunities to get the job and clear the interviews, it is not going to be possible, because nowadays very important skill other than communication skill, or sometimes more than communication skill, is called as a interpersonal skill. The ability to connect with a group of people is called as an interpersonal skill. And if you are lacking that skill because of this one particular problem called defensive mechanism, then you are going to lose a lot of opportunities. And why exactly we need to understand pro-social behavior and defensive behavior? And as we have seen with the explanation here, pro-social behavior help you so much in a lot of areas of your life. And what exactly it is related to, and I will explain that in the next slide. And before that, I would like to help understand our brain. As I explained, there are two circuits. One is a pro-social circuit and another one is a defensive circuit. And think of in your mobile, if you open your mobile, there is a one light mode and dark mode, right? One is a light mode and dark mode. And what is a light mode? Light mode is a by default, but dark mode is something you will set up. You will choose to be dark mode. Okay. And if you like to be in dark mode, you have to choose it. But by default, mostly it is in a light mode only. In the same way, it's like a bright mode and dark mode. And most of them, bright mode is a by default mode. And whereas coming to the dark mode, it is something you have to set up. In the same way, coming to our life is designed, not designed for happiness. Our life is designed for survival. Survival is a mechanism which is a by default mechanism. That is what a defensive mechanism. And by this one particular neurocircuit, means there is a certain neurons in your brain which will always like a by default mode. By default mode, without efforts you will be always unhappy. Without efforts you can be unhappy, but with efforts only you can be happy. Why? Because most of the time your life and your complete life is designed for you to be survive in the society or survive in this life, not for happiness. Happiness is something we have to choose and we have to select. As how we select the dark mode, in the same way we will be selecting. But obviously everybody at the end of the day they want to be happy by surviving. By surviving they want to be happy. And if we ask what exactly they want at the end of the day, why they are doing the job, why they want a relationships and all, most of the time what exactly they want from their life is the happiness. Nothing more than that, peacefulness and happiness. But as we are saying that our brain is not at all designed, primarily your brain is not at all designed for you to be happy, then you have to put some extra efforts to make yourself happy. Otherwise your by default set is unhappiness only. That's why 95% of the people lives in a just misery only. And if you ask people how your life is going, everybody says that fine, not good, and going like this and all. But only English therapy people will tell that my life is going great and I am feeling excellent, and like that they will say. Why? Because they got trained under me to be happy and to make sure that to change their behavior every time, day to day. And that's why they are able to say that kind of words. And go and ask anybody outside, 99% of people will say answer to you when you ask how are you, means the first and foremost reaction which comes is fine. That's it, and nothing more than that. Some people not doing good. That's that's the most commonly most frequently used response when it comes to that. And now you understanding here that brain is not designed for happiness and brain is designed for something else. Here happiness is something but pro-social behavior. Whereas the defensive is nothing but here survival mechanism. So your brain is always trying to protect you, trying to save you. You can say that, oh, then brain is trying to protect us, saving us, then it's a great, right? No, when you are trying to protect yourself and save yourself, then you will never grow in your life. And now lot of opportunities out there for the people who are always growth mindset, not productive people. Means how it is possible? Like you are protecting yourself means you are less, there will be very less chances that you'll be taking very, less risks. So most of the time you will be not taking much risk in your life, and almost you always avoid the risk taking. And then when you are not taking the risk nowadays, most of the time your life will be at very big risk. Not taking the risk itself is the biggest risk you can ever expect in this generation, in this point of time. So move, what exactly we can understand by happiness circuits and defensive circuits, what we can understand through neuroscience. And then before going to the neuroscience, why we need gratitude practice, and why exactly you mentioned title as gratitude, and then you start explaining pro-social versus defensive mechanism, and you're saying that happiness is something not by default mode, and every time we will be in unhappiness as a by default mode. And what exactly gratitude is related to pro-social and happiness, and now I will be revealing to you. And most of us need to feel good and feel happy. That's the reason we need a gratitude. Gratitude is a one chemical or element, not chemical, it's an emotion or feeling which would invoke a happiness in you, and a feeling great. That kind of feelings and emotions will be invoked in you by doing a gratitude practice. Most of us need to feel good and need to feel happy. That's why we need gratitude practice in our day-to-day life. And understand here, asymmetry between pro-social and defensive mechanism, as I've explained, asymmetry means not something similar. If you cut down me from the, from my top to bottom exactly in the middle, now my body is symmetrical, left side and right side is most of the time symmetrical. But if you cut down something, anything, or if something is not same, then we call it as a asymmetry. Asymmetry means something which is not similar both the sides. So here you understand here, as you have seen the pro-social, the seesaw, kind of image. So asymmetry means that symmetry means they should be parallel, they should be in linear, straight. But asymmetry means something which is inclined or declined. That is called as a asymmetry. So now if you see, as you know that pro-social and defensive, we have by default as a defensive means the defensive side means right side will be like this. The particular seesaw would be like a inclined in this format. So that is where asymmetry means they are not same, one side upper, one side lower, and defensive side is a lower because that's where by default is setup is. And for that, how we can make that asymmetric from defensive to pro social. Obviously we want pro social side to be more, then we can be much more better. Pawan, please mute yourself every time you're unmuting, be aware of your muting option. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so now you understand here, defensive behaviors are designed to keep us safe. I have already explained, but that is not what exactly is going to make us happy. They are going to make us safe, but not every time our life is in danger. We don't need a lot of time safe and security. Every time our brain thinks that, now if I ask you to speak in front of these 50, 60, 80 members, what your brain will tell speaking in front of these people is would be dangerous for you. Try to keep your mouth shut and don't speak anything. That is the kind of words your brain will suggest to you. And even if you want to speak also, you will get shivering and you will get some kind of tension. From where that feelings are coming from is from your defensive mechanism, from your brain. Because of that only, most of the time you don't open up your mouth and you don't take the opportunities, you don't try to do something new. Why? Because your brain always try to keep you safe by not opening your mouth, and it always try to keep you in comfort zone, and it feels like it is protecting you. But as I said in the previous presentations also, the comfort zone itself is the poison. Okay, that's where your real downfall starts. And understand here, there are two sides I have explained, pro-social behavior versus defensive mechanism. And here you see, as I said, by default is the defensive. That's why it is a heavier weight, and the seesaw is at the not in the middle. It is at only one side, and other side is completely less. So that means this is how the generally your day-to-day by default life. But if you add a gratitude element in your day-to-day life, so how your life would change means the life will be like this. Okay, so your life will be completely shifted towards a pro-social behavior. What exactly pro-social behavior? Your ability to go out and talk to the people and explore the new opportunities and try to take the risk and get some kind of great adventure out of it. But what makes you to be like pro-social is this gratitude element. Why exactly gratitude element makes us feel pro-social, and why we always make ourselves defensive? I will explain in other upcoming slides. But here you should understand why we need gratitude practices to make our life more pro-social. With the pro-social behavior, we can achieve so many things in our life, in day-to-day life. Clear? Yes. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. And you might have seen in my previous presentation in a dopamine, and I have explained few of the dopamine, sorry, a few of the neuromodulators. Okay. And the neuromodulator is a chemical which transfer between two neurons in through the synapses. So we have one neuromodulator which is completely responsible for most of the time, which is responsible for our gratitude. Okay. So can anybody guess what could be that neuromodulator? In the dopamine presentation, I've explained few of the modulators, neuromodulators. Can you guess what could be that neuromodulator?
Oxytocin.
Guess. Good answer.
Histocolline.
Serotonin.
Serotonin. Okay. So serotonin is the mostly contributed towards gratitude practices, which makes you feel very calmer, and it always makes you feel little better in terms of mood. Okay. So always try to regulate your mood. Appetite means feeling hungry or feeling completely full. Appetite means heavy hungriness. And sleep and social interactions. This is the one chemical. Serotonin is a neuromodulator which passes between two neurons in your brain and body. It makes you feel more calmer, more composed, and it enable you to regulate your mood, appetite, and sleep and social interactions. Sorry. Yeah. So understand here, serotonin is particular chemical which is going to be act as a gratitude chemical. In whenever you are doing any gratitude practices, one hormone releases in your brain and your body is called as a serotonin. That chemical releases. That chemical makes you feel more calm and composed. Simple. If you are now trying to speak in this class, suppose you went to one stage and started speaking in that, or you went to interview, and there what happens most of the time, you get heavy heartbeat and you get a lot of breathing and you get sweating and all. But at the time, most of the time, what people will ask you to do, calm down yourself. But what is that calming down? What is inside you which is making you calming down is a serotonin. And if there is no chemical of serotonin, you will never calm down. You will always get anxious and worried, and you feel like your life is at risk. But the moment when serotonin is started releasing in your brain, then you less likely get anxiety and more likely to get calmness and composedness. So this is a one neuromodulator which passes through your brain and body, makes you feel calm and composed. And by doing gratitude, by practicing everyday gratitude, this chemical releases in your brain and body, which makes you feel more calm and composed. That particular chemical makes you be more pro-social. When you feel calm and when you feel composed, then you don't feel much threatened, right? And that's what happens in English therapy. The day when you joined, initially you feel very tensed and you wanted to speak, but you always have fear and all. But as I make you feel very comfortable in this platform, the moment when you feel comfortable, slowly serotonin starts releasing in your body, and that day onwards you started expressing yourself very much frequently and very fluently without getting much worried about what people will think and all. But if you go outside, generally you wanted to speak, but you don't want to speak because of the people comments. Why? Because of those people comments, they will make you lose your peace of mind and happiness, and that's why you don't want to speak. But generally, if you make yourself calmer and express yourself, then you can see much more beauty. And this is what the neuromodulator which will passes through your brain. But through what areas it will passes through, that we will see. Understand the brain, which I have recently, in my previous presentation also explained. You might have seen the prefrontal cortex area. This is the prefrontal cortex right behind your forehead, whatever is there here. Okay, till this part is called as a prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex involves in a thinking, decision making, and rational thinking, and logical thinking, and language processing, and all will be taken care by the prefrontal cortex. And it works like a CEO, means planning and taking the action, and a lot of things will be involved by the prefrontal cortex. And understand there is one more area, okay, this medial, this medial part called as a anterior cingulate cortex. Okay, so this area is responsible for emotional regulation. Okay, this area is responsible for emotional regulation, and it helps you to balance your emotions. Obviously, what exactly the emotions you go through, you go through fear and anxiety and excitement, happiness, joy, and all. So those are all like will be taken care by this particular anterior mid cingulate, and fear and freezing and those related things will be taken care by the amygdala. But here, understand, there is a one area in your cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum is nothing but this area brain called, just right above your neck is called a cerebellum. Okay, from there is a one area we call it as a raphe. So from here the serotonin will be produced. Like how you see where is Ganga river born and where is Godavari river born, in the same way in our brain, in this area we call it as a raphe. In this area the serotonin chemical will be produced and will passes like this. Okay, will be passes like this entire your brain from here to here, and like that the entire brain, through the brain the chemical serotonin will passes through out of this chemical, and then it will be passes through the body parts and all. So but generally this is the area where your serotonin chemical is born, and then will be sent to the different areas of your brain. And as I said, so here if you see here, the moment when the serotonin releases, then it will goes to prefrontal cortex and it will go to anterior cingulate cortex. And what I explained, these two are responsible for thinking and then emotional regulation. Now after some time, when you make yourself calmer by serotonin effect, the chemical released, and once your brain gets calmer, then what it will do is it will slowly make you feel little bit comfortable with the situation. Once you feel comfortable, you will be able to express yourself. Why? Because as I said, prefrontal cortex is able to think and take the decision and speak and do all the other things, whatever we want in our day-to-day life as a main important activities. But as I said in our previous presentation, when you get fear, your amygdala will activate. And the moment when you get fear, your prefrontal gets shut down. Prefrontal cortex gets shut down. Now, if your prefrontal cortex is not working, whatever you read before the exam or before the interview, you are not going to share what you have prepared, because entire information stored in this area of your brain, and if that area is completely shut down, then how will you get the answer? That's why your mind goes blank. That's where your mind goes blank, and as a result of it, you get a panicness and you get shivering and sweat, and you are unable to speak properly because of that particular issue. But once the serotonin goes, it's like a turning on the switch to the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. That's where your emotions can be balanced and you feel much calmer, and your answers will be able to come out of your mouth, and you will be able to express yourself better than what you expect. Okay, better than what you think. So this is what something you should understand. And here prefrontal cortex plays very crucial role. And what kind of crucial role it plays in terms of gratitude practice, in terms of our day-to-day life. In the previous presentation also I explained, but here the completely different scenario. We are talking about prefrontal cortex, which is related to gratitude, and we are going to talk about anterior cingulate cortex, which is related to gratitude. And in the past presentation about neuroanatomy, I explained a general overview of prefrontal cortex and other brain areas, but today we are going to see prefrontal cortex in the thing in gratitude practice. So how it will be, we'll check now. Okay, so prefrontal cortex sets the context. So as I said, prefrontal cortex helps you to think and take the decisions, and prefrontal cortex is one thing which gives you the context, nothing but the meaning to something. And if there is no meaning, there will be very less disadvantage and disadvantage. I'll explain you with one particular example, and this particular example is related to one of the research conducted by one of the great scientists, okay, a few years back. The research involved one rat, okay, one lab rat. What that lab rat was done means, there are two rats which are there, and one rat was kept in a one running wheel. Okay, and this rat is very much interested to do daily running, okay, as a jogging in the running wheel. It's like a treadmill. So the rat is very much likely to do walking or jogging on its own, willing to do means on its own without any forcefulness. But whereas the other rat, whenever this rat is running, the other rat has to run, not by willingness, forcefully it has to run. Otherwise it is going to means, like, the rat was kept on one treadmill and it is moving, and if you are not moving, automatically you will get injured, right? There is no other option for you. You have to move even if you are not interested also, because other rat is moving. The other rat treadmill or the other rat running wheel is connected to this rat running wheel. Whereas first rat is willing to run because it is very much interested in taking care of health like me, and wanted to wake up early and going for jogging and doing exercise and going to gym. But whereas the other rat, which is not at all interested in going for a walk and jog, but forcefully dragging with me and making it to work without, even if it is not interested. So first context, first rat is willing to do and second rat is forcefully to do. So what exactly the differences they found in the rat health is, the first rat has seen a lot of positive aspects in terms of health. Okay, it has affected a lot of ways in a positive way. And the rat who is moving on its own willingness to do, as its bp reduced and the heart rate also very good. And brain chemistry nothing but the brain neuromodulators whatever is there, right? Dopamine and then serotonin, oxytocin chemicals released, which are all very good hormones. But whereas the other one, same time they ran together on the same running, different running wheels, but mostly same activity for same time. But whereas the first rat is trying to run on its own for the health benefits, but the second rat is running on its own, not on its own because of the forcefulness from the other rat. What kind of difference it felt like? Lot of negative ways it affected the rat health, lot of negative ways it affected the rat health. And it increased high bp, high blood pressure, and also it increased the high stress hormone. What is the stress hormone which you might have seen in the previous presentations?
Cortisol. Cortisol.
Cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone which was released in a other chemical other. And you might say that okay, going for walk is a great, right? It helps us our health. But here, not going for walk helps us to our health. The context behind going for walk helps you to get the health. Context means the story, the reason behind going for walk helps you to improve your health. And before going to walk, you are telling to yourself that going to walk is a very good, and if I go to walk I'll get a good health. Waking up early is a very great activity. This story is there, right? That all the stories to your prefrontal cortex, and prefrontal cortex decides whether you will get a positive aspect or negative aspect based on the story which is associated in your brain. And that is called the context. That is what the context or the story or the reason. And now you might be joining to the class by forcing somebody else and all, but that will not help you to improve your communication skills. You should join to this class with full of love and enthusiasm and energy. But and at the same time, when it comes to doing the habits also, if you are doing the habits forcefully because of me, there will be no use at all. And in the same way, I asked you to watch 3 psychology presentations. If you are watching those presentations on your willingness, desire to do, or if you are just doing for the sake of doing for the joining next Saturday session, then you have to decide what exactly the positive impacts and what exactly the negative impacts can be decided by the way you perceive that activity. The way you look at that activity decides what are all the benefits, or the negative benefits or the positive benefits you are going to get out of that particular activity. So understand, the context is stored in your brain, and that's what gives the results to you, prefrontal cortex. So programmed your mind, how you program your prefrontal cortex, in that way only your results will be. So this is the one particular study was conducted on rats, and this is applicable to our human beings also. Same, they also find out so many ways, and then they understood that this is working in human beings also. Okay, now you understood, right? Prefrontal cortex help us. And now this prefrontal cortex, while we are doing gratitude, while we are practicing gratitude, set up the context. That context help us to embrace the pro-social behavior. Now, if you understand the gratitude practice, something when we are practicing, prefrontal cortex set up the context. With that context only, that whatever the benefits we are going to get, we will be having that kind of benefits with the social pro-social behavior. And prefrontal cortex is a very much important. It's like a CEO. It will tell what to do, how to do, and if you are doing something forcefully, then you will not get. And that's why when it comes to gratitude also, you should not lie about something. You should always say something very much true in terms of you being grateful for something, then only it will work. Means then only you will get the all the positive aspects of the gratitude. Otherwise, if you are just lying, then for the sake of getting benefits and all, you will not get the real benefits of gratitude. Okay, so these were the prefrontal cortex. And here, understand, there are different ways our life can be changed and our life can be formed. And the kind of, at the end of the day, what exactly most of the people want is They want happiness in their life. And as I said, gratitude is something can invoke the happiness in everybody's life, in our day-to-day life. And how we can get and practice gratitude in our day-to-day life, and what exactly the techniques we can follow in our life to get the gratitude, to invoke the gratitude and get the benefits of the gratitude. So understand, there are so many practical gratitude techniques are there, but what I'm going to explain today is going to be the very important gratitude practices. If you can practice these things in your day-to-day life, your life can be dramatically changed. And I'll tell you, by just practicing 1 or 2 minutes a day, 1 or 2 minutes a day, or thrice or twice in a week, can significantly impact and contribute towards 25% of happiness in your day-to-day life. Just think of doing 1 or 2 minutes, max 5 minutes of gratitude practice in a week time, just twice or thrice, can significantly improve the way you lead your life and contribute 25% of your health, happiness. Okay, 25% of happiness. And think of how much it is going to change your life. And we always, go for movies and watch Instagram reels and do all the blah blah things for hours of hours in the pursuit of happiness and entertainment. But here, there is a one particular technique, if you can follow in your day-to-day life, that contributes towards 25% of your happiness. It's not a normal thing, okay? It's a very big thing. And so many times people take pills also, medicine also, to be happy. There are a lot of neurochemicals are there in terms of tablets. If you take, then your brain chemistry will change, you know uh, artificially, and then you can feel little bit happy for some time. That's some of the people will go through a lot of negative pain. For them, happiness is something they need immediately. For that, they take some medicine. But instead of taking the medicine, this gratitude practice work as a medicine for you to get the immediate impact on your health and in your happiness. So what exactly that one particular technique in our life we should follow is receiving thanks. Okay, so this is the one particular technique, and it is something you should not ask for somebody, okay, please say me thanks. That will not work. And if you are joining in our class from past 2 3 months onwards, you have been listening to the people whenever they want to share their feedback about me, and they will express their gratitude towards me, right? Ha. So when you are expressing gratitude towards me, your gratitude will not invoke. It means the brain neurons, you will not become pro-social. Who will become pro-social? Me become pro-social, because I am the one who is receiving that gratitude. And you may be expressing your gratitude. The gratitude works at its best when it comes to receiving. Compared to receiving, taking is something, or giving is something very less impact. More impactful thing is that receiving the gratitude. And how do you receive the gratitude if you're not at all helping anybody around you in your life, and every time being selfish, and every time trying to think that I should only get first rank, and I should only get everything, and I should only get appreciation in English therapy class from Rakesh sir? Then if I should only speak very fluently than anybody else, then definitely nobody is going to say thanks to you, or nobody is going to show their gratitude towards you, because you are not changing, you are not impacting anybody's life with your presence. And when you are not impacting anybody's life with your presence, then definitely you are not going to receive the kind of gratitude which you can expect you to receive from the people. So think of, first and foremost, very important, there was so much of scientific evidence was there. And because of just receiving the gratitude, your brain neurons can be automatically released, and serotonin releases, and it makes you be more pro-social, and you'll be always try to go outside and do something more and all. And I was literally shocked when I get to know about this, and I felt like, oh god, this is what helping me to do a lot of things in my day-to-day life. And I got to know that gratitude is working in my life, so many areas of my life, because almost in a 4 5 batches, at least one person will share their gratitude in any one day, particular day. Every day I'll listen at least from one person in any of the batches, the gratitude towards me. And in the same way, you can also get that gratitude by helping the people in speaking buddy activity. At certain point of time, if you are helping them, then this technique of receiving the gratitude from the people. And most of the time we may not receive the gratitude for the work which we do. So don't expect the gratitude. Gratitude is something should be shown to you genuinely, not by asking them, okay, now tell me the gratitude about me and show your gratitude to me, and all will not work. So think of, there was a study conducted in a one particular study conducted on the people. And what exactly they did was, they have just divided the group of people, and then they were working in a one particular project, and they have divided around 50 members into 25 members. And what they told, that they have to write the gratitude letter to the co-worker. They have to write the gratitude letter to their co-worker. So when at the time of writing the gratitude and when they are trying to express, they measure the brain neurons activity. And then when it comes to reading out, suppose I have written the gratitude letter to you, and then I am reading to you. What they did was they connected some different FRMI related kind of connections to on our brain to see how what kind of brain areas getting activated, and they have done to the listener and speaker also, who is expressing and who is receiving. And then they found out that the person who is expressing, and they observed very less activation in a gratitude areas of their brain. It means pro-social areas are there in the pro-social neurocircuits are there, right? I told you pro-social areas in the brain got less activated when the person is expressing gratitude, but the person who is receiving the gratitude in his brain, they observe that more activation in a pro-social circuits when it comes to listening and when it comes to receiving. So they found out that okay, the more effective way to activate gratitude in our life is by receiving the thanks from the people, and that helps you to become more pro-social behavior person. And once you become more pro-social person, then your chance of getting succeed in your life will be very higher. So this is a one particular technique which or tool which we can apply in our life. When it comes to this, could be useful for us in making our life more happier, more joyful. And as I said, gratitude helps you to become more happy and successful. But you may ask, like, how you are doing this work, that's why you're getting more gratitude, but what about us? So, and how we will get, and nobody is showing us gratitude, even though how much we are expecting and how much we are thinking that they should show gratitude, but still they are not showing us the gratitude. What about us? And for you, there is also one more approach is there. That approach is related to story of gratitude. And what exactly the story of gratitude is? Suppose you are in the class and one person is showing the gratitude towards me, and you are listening to that particular story, what the story the person is expressing towards me. Then you also, I like the person who is listening are watching the story behind between the person who is showing the gratitude, the person who is receiving the gratitude. When the conversation is going happening, or the situation or the scene which is playing in front of their eyes, if you happen to be there, or if you happen to see that particular conversation or happen to see that story, then they also tested the brain neurons, and they found out that in that areas also the brain the pro-social circuits are getting activated. That means by joining in our class, when somebody else is sharing their gratitude and when I am listening, indirectly you are also getting benefited, even though you are not showing gratitude towards me or towards anybody else. So this is a one particular technique which would be much more useful for you. And it is a story of gratitude. When somebody is sharing the story of gratitude, then you will be high likely to get a dopamine sorry, serotonin, and that helps you to make you be a more pro-social. And sometimes you can watch, sometimes you can read. And you might have you might have that read someone's stories. Like I will tell you the example of 3000 stitches. The first story, when you have read that, there the devadasis were started sharing their personal experience and story, and there they started showing their gratitude towards the Sudhamurti, right? At that time, a lot of people have felt so much of emotional, and they felt like, oh god, this is a great story, and they got connected to that particular story, right? In that particular scenarios also, your serotonin get releases, means that makes you feel more grateful for, as if you are receiving the gratitude, because you are completely taking that entire scenery into your brain, as if something happening in your life. And the moment when you are watching something, or when you are reading something, or listening something through the podcast, any grateful stories, your brain will get more activated in terms of pro-social behavior, and that helps you to make yourself more happier and more happy, more healthier. So think of, there is someone sharing story and writing the gratitude towards someone else, but you happen to be the audience also, you will get a much more pro-social behavior and happiness. So this one technique which would be much helpful for you, and how you can implement in your life is, take any particular story which you feel like having very great gratitude elements in that, are a very great emotional response. Think of somebody is going through so much of pain, and one person or any other person came and then helped them, and at that time the person who received the help started showing his gratitude towards the person. And if you been there and observing entire story or narrative, then you will also get very good amount of gratitude. Means that activation of pro-social behavior will be there. So this is a one way you can also get good amount of serotonin in your body and brain. You feel much more calmer. Why it happens, why exactly we convert ourselves defensive to pro-social means? Think of, you're every day watching negative serials and negative, advertisements and ads and news everywhere, what your brain programs and thinks that everything around you is a very negative and very bad, and there is no scope for you to be good, and there is no good at all. The moment when there is no good, when the moment when you feel like everything around you is happening so much of bad, then you want to protect yourself, you want to save yourself. The moment when you wanted to save yourself, what happens? Your defensive mechanism will activated, and the moment when your defensive mechanism activated, you are very less likely to be open. Just think of, you watched 3 4 news related to gang rape or minor child rape and all, then next day onwards what you will think? You don't want to go out also alone, you just always try to go. If you, even if you want to go also, you don't want to go because you have a lot of fear inside. What creates that fear in you is a defensive mechanism. What creates that fear in you is a defensive mechanism. But there are some instances where that negative incidents are happening. But if you see, there are hundreds of places very so much of positive things also happening around us in our world. But those things cannot be shown in the serials, or cannot be shown in news. Why? Because when everything is positive showing to you, then there will be very less TRP for the news channels. That's why they don't show much positive things around them, and they always try to show negative things. So how you can get this pro-social behavior? You will never get pro-social behavior when you are sticking yourself to that negative daily serials and negative news and all. You will never be pro-social. You always reserved yourself and don't want to come out of your comfort zone or your protection mode. In that case, try to read a positive related information, and try to be in a environment where a lot of things are happening in a positive way. And there, once your inner self convinces that there is a very less threat, there is a less danger, then you will be high likely to open up. That is what happens in this class. The day when people joins in this class, they always try to come, always keep themselves, and they don't want to open their mouth. But the day after 3 4 days, when they observe what is happening in this class, and they observe that no one is laughing, and even there are so many people are making the mistakes, but they are trying to speak, then your pro-social behavior get activated, and there onwards you start speaking, even it is right or wrong, secondary for you. But when you go outside, then when people laugh and make a fun on you and make a judgment on you, then you will never speak again in your life, because that's what keeps you reserved. So think of, this is the one technique. Try to read any particular gratitude stories, and then try to conceive that story as if it related to your life, and then you will be much more feeling happy, and that happy feeling gives you pro-social behavior. So this is one more technique, which something two techniques. Either you should be always in the receiver end, that will help you so much, or if sometimes it may not be possible, try to listen to the conversation or watch a particular scene or read something where the one person is showing the gratitude towards other person, and look at the narrative, entire narrative, and you feel as if everything is happening in your own life. Then you will be having high chance of getting your life in a much better way. So then next come to the other one is a gratitude journaling. So most of the time, this is what the most famously gratitude practice in our day-to-day life. Generally what we write is, we always write something, three things which we are grateful for, and something, three things which we are grateful for, three people we are grateful for, and three opportunities or three great things, whatever it could be. We always write three things, and all we always note down. This is also one good technique which you can follow. First two are very powerful, and then this particular technique which will be useful. And you can write down what exactly you are grateful. Gratitude journaling nothing but writing your thoughts, and gratitude nothing but whatever the emotion, positive emotion which you have towards someone, then you can write down that, and that could be your gratitude journal. And every day whenever I write my diary, right at the end of the three lines, I always write three things. Thank you God for giving me this life, thank you for giving me this great role of me being helping the people to change people's lives, and thank you for making me to run this English therapy, and like that I thank you for giving me great health. So these things you can write, what are all the good things which are there now for you in this point of time, then your life will become much more happier. So but most of the time, people always try to blame the things, they don't appreciate what they already have. They always blame something which they don't have. So that's one of the biggest mistake people do. That's why when you're always complaining about what you don't have, you always don't see and recognize the value of what you already have. In that case, you always feel very negative and feel anxious and feel sad. You will never feel happy in your life. If you really wanted to feel happy, then definitely you should always think of something which you already have, and give your respect and be grateful for whatever you have. then you can feel much more happy, even if you don't have job, even if you don't have opportunities, even if you don't have a great bungalow, car, or something also. Okay, so because you're already feeling happy with whatever you have, that is the greatest feeling you can ever get. Okay, you can be grateful for your health, you can be grateful for your family, relations and friends, and a job, or the salary, or the house, or food, clothes, shelter, anything. Okay, so that things you can think of, that we come under, that we can write under gratitude journal. And then next one is a mental subtraction. It could be a little funny, but at the same time very serious as well. So what exactly mental subtraction is? We don't value the people, or we don't value the things unless until we lose them. So generally we take the people for granted, we take the things for granted, we take everything for granted, but we feel very much missed or bad when we lose that particular person in our life, when we lose the particular incident, or when we lose the particular thing or any particular aspect in your life, then you feel much bad about that. So think of, most of the time, as I said, we always take the things for granted. And but when you lose the person, when you miss the opportunity, then you will feel and understand the value of that particular situation. So instead of you knowing the value of the person when you miss him, just create the mental subtraction. Means you visualize your life without that person, how terrible it would be without that person, how your day-to-day life would be without that particular person in your life. And then your brain will go through the pain by just missing that person in your life. That is called a mental subtraction. You are visualizing and removing that person from your life and seeing how your life would be without that person. Then you will get to know the value of the person, and there you can show your gratitude more towards the person. And mental subtraction is something eliminating wantedly and seeing your life without that person, and again adding the person and showing your full of love and respect, because now you got to know how your life would be without that person, and nobody wants to just lose that person in your life. Okay, so that's why think of this as a one way of just implementing some negative and then again feeling positive. This is a mental subtraction, you are eliminating and again adding. And then next one is a gratitude meditation. So sitting meditation pose and thinking about something, and whatever I explained, right, three things you are grateful for and whatever you are feeling and all, but that you are writing there, but now you are visualizing everything in your life, thinking of your house, great house, thinking about your great house and showing your gratitude towards your house, thinking about your parents and feeling so happy about them and feeling so grateful for having that kind of people in your life, and then showing your gratefulness towards them or gratitude towards them. So this is a one technique where you can follow by sitting in a meditation pose and thinking of what are all the grateful things you can think of at this point of time, at this moment of time in your life. And you can do this before going to the bed. This works very much. And as I every time before I go to bed, I write the journal, and then once I lied in my bed, and I will think of what exactly the things which I'm grateful for. And the moment when I started feeling grateful for and showing my gratitude, as I said, your pro-social behavior get activated and your defensive mechanism get calmed down. Defensive mechanism nothing but it makes you fearful and it makes you anxious and negative thinking and worry a lot, and all this comes under your defensive mechanism. But before going to sleep, I nobody wants to be get anxious and tensed and all. So every time you want some calm and composed state of mind, and that calm and composed state of mind only comes with a serotonin. And when you are practicing gratitude, then serotonin will releases, and you can get very peaceful and happy sleep. So this is what about practical gratitude techniques. And we'll go back. First one is receiving thanks. This is a very important. When it comes to you try to help the people, definitely there will be people are showing to gratitude towards you for the work which you do in your day-to-day life. And in a lot of cases you may not be in that end to receive the gratitude. In that case, try to listen to the story of gratitude, or try to watch something when somebody is showing gratitude in that particular scenarios. Then means trying to consume positive content will be helpful for you to invoke that as pro-social behavior. And then come to the gratitude journaling, write down the things which you are grateful for. And there comes a mental subtraction, eliminating the person whom you always take for granted, and then see how your life would be without that person, and then show your gratitude or the gratefulness towards the person. And thereafter gratitude meditation, which is very important when it comes to day-to-day life. And I'll tell you what is the frequency with which we should do in our life when it comes to gratitude. Means, as I said previously also, at least 1 minute or 2 minutes is enough. It's not like going to gym, working out one and a half hour and all like that. just by practicing 1 or 2 minutes of gratitude practice in any form, not just one. I have just given you different techniques. In whichever the way you want, you can do, but anything is also applicable. But first two are very powerful, and then remaining things also effective, but not that much powerful compared to the first two. And coming to this frequency or the occurrence in which we have to do, like about gratitude practices, how much frequently we should practice. You don't have to do every day. You can do at least thrice in a week, also very good, and that gives you so much of positive benefits to your towards your life. And what kind of benefits you could get by practicing 3 times, 4 times? You are saying this is a very important, but by doing 1 or 2 minutes also we can get that much benefits. Means what kind of benefits we can get by doing this practice? Means there are a lot of significant health benefits we have with this particular the gratitude practice. The first and foremost thing is strengthen positive neural pathways. As I explained, there are positive neural pathways and not negative but survival. And positive neural pathways nothing but the prefrontal cortex and anterior cingulate cortex. These pathways gets activated and they get strengthened, and that helps you so much to be always instead of calm and composed way, and that helps you so much for your health and happiness. Okay. And reduce the inflammation and fear. As I said, inflammation nothing but you go through so much of pain inside. And inflammation, you feel sensations in your, and a lot of people get sensation in their stomach and sensation in their head, and at different places they get sensations, kind of inflammatory, that kind of inflammatory sensation they get. So if you are going through that kind of inflammatory sensations, then gratitude helps you to remove that inflammatory sensations. So inflammatory sensations are causes by the some chemicals in your brain. And when that sensations activated means whenever there is a wounds, whenever there is a some any wound or any particular problem in your life, then this inflammatory things will activated. But you are not at all having any wounds and all, but every time you are feeling some burning inside your stomach and burning inside some places, then that negatively impact your health. So when you practice gratitude, then that reduces inflammation, right? You feel inflammation in your stomach and in your heart and your liver and lungs and all, so that can be reduced very drastically when you practice gratitude. And as I said, when you are feeling so much pleasurable with the things which you already have, then fear is something you can reduce it very drastically. And that's what happens in this class. Most of the people lose their fear because they feel very safe and secure, because their defensive mechanism goes shut down, and that's where they get benefit of this also. You will get very less fear about different things, which is really not at all fearful. And then next one is a resilience to trauma. And nowadays so many people are going through trauma and psychological problems and negative thinking and sad. Lot of times they are going to a lot of negative emotions. So this gratitude practice helps you to be more resilient, means able to withstand to the trauma. And there are two ways of trauma here. Generally, suppose you are already going through so much of pain in your life and going through a lot of negative emotions, the moment when you practice gratitude, then it will reduce your level of trauma. Okay, it will reduce the intensity of trauma. But now you can say, sir, I'm not at all going through any trauma, and why I need gratitude? I will tell you one more benefit also when it comes to resilience and when it comes to drama. Means when you practice before, you are making your brain much strengthened. Even if there is any trauma comes in the future, you are already prepared for it, and the trauma will not affect you that much. Means preparing yourself much earlier than something comes and attacks you. At the time when something comes and attacks you, you have a resilience to withstand that particular trauma, whatever is going to come in the future. So that comes under resilience trauma also very much. You will get a lot of benefit out of this resilience to trauma by practicing gratitude. And second, fourth one is reduce the anxiety and depression. And I have explained this reduces anxiety and depression related in the stress management particular presentation, where what happens to your brain and what when it comes to anxiety or stress. As I said, there is a HPA axis where hypothalamus and pituitary gland and adrenal gland, when something perceived as a danger or fearful, then immediately it gets anxious and it releases the different chemicals, and that chemicals will be released in your body and blood and brain. That cortisol will be released and you feel much more stress, and that negatively impact your health. But when you do gratitude, your brain suspects that okay, there is no danger, and the moment when there is no danger, there will be very less likely to release the cortisol hormone in your body and brain. That means your health can be much benefit, it can be improved so much. And at the same time, it reduces the anxiety level and depression also, and you can be much more get benefited, lot of positive ways. And also it improves sleep. As I said, every time before going to sleep, I always practice this, and it gives me immediately sleep the moment when I enter, because at the end of the day you should calm down every activity in your brain and body to get into the sleep. But when you are constantly thinking about something, you don't get the sleep properly. And the moment when you are not getting the sleep, just try to practice this gratitude, then you can able to get instantaneously to the sleep. And then last one is strengthen social bonds. Think of, I am showing my gratitude towards you, and the more and more gratitude I started showing towards you, the relationship between you and me will be improved, right? In the same way, when I am showing towards you, there will be very high tendency that I have very great bond with you. But at the same time, when I am showing gratitude towards one person, that particular behavior and that particular nature will also help me in terms of me being very good at my workplace, in my school or college or outside wherever I go. The same level of behavior also reflects in at different places. So understand these things. When it comes to gratitude practice, it helps you to improve your social bondages, because whenever you go outside and started meeting and trading the people, then your serotonin will be releases, and pro-social behavior will be activated, and that helps you so much in terms of getting a very good positive benefits. And as you know, right, when you are having very good networking skills, you will have very great opportunities in your day-to-day life. But every time you are getting a lot of fear to network with the people, then you may lose a lot of things also in your life. So that's a one thing. And there was a one story, okay, there was a one research conducted. What exactly this research was about? They were playing one particular story as a movie, and then their subjects means people who are listening to that story. And what this study conducted was means, they just kept one person in one room and played one story, and then they measured the heartbeat of the person. Okay, heartbeat, how the heart is beating and how the breathing is. And then like this, the same story was being projected in a different place to the different person. They took the measurements of their heart rate and heartbeat, and now they have done this study across the different places on the planet, on different regions, among different people at different times. And what they found out was shocking results was, they observed that the graph of their heartbeats almost similar, there was no difference. And that was the great, think of like your brain is perceiving the story, and your brain is controlling your heartbeats, and the same story being projected to the different people at different circumstances, having this, they measured that the same heart rate. That means stories, positive stories, have so much of impact on our well-being, and that could contribute so much to your to our day-to-day life and to our physiology. Your brain can control your heartbeat, okay, your heart rate. Your brain perceive anything as a threat outside, then automatically your heart rate will go high, means your heartbeat goes very high. The moment when your brain perceives something very normal, then your heartbeats will be completely slowed down. So think of, that's how your brain, in terms of perceiving the threat and perceiving any situation outside. And coming to the gratitude practice also, the moment when you are practicing more and more gratitude, your brain will be set up at a very calm and composed state. And as you know that you can make much better decisions in your life, and you can take a lot of great decisions, and you will be thinking much more clearly when you are calm state, not in a any anxiety or depressed state. So that what makes you to get into this state is gratitude practice, and that is something very important in our day-to-day lives. And also, I have not mentioned here because, as I already mentioned in my neuroplasticity presentation, gratitude journaling helps you to improve your neuroplasticity much higher in a positive aspects. So think of, every time you are trying to get into negative thinking, and as I said, neuroplasticity having a positive aspect and negative aspect, or dark side and light side also. And whatever you do something repeatedly, your brain thinks that that is most important for you, and it makes you, that makes it very less effort. Okay, that require very less effort to do that. And as I said, if you are practicing more and more gratitude frequently, then your brain neurons get activated very frequently in terms of pro-social behavior neurocircuits, and you will be more likely to feel very positive and happy with very less effort. As I said in the beginning of the presentation, your by default set was a defensive, but as you practice more and more, now your by default set would be happiness or pro-social behavior. When it will happen means when you practice daily. And the moment when you practice daily, as you know, from the neuroplasticity presentation, that becomes very easy for you. The more you practice, the better it becomes and the easier it becomes. So that's why if you practice gratitude very frequently, your neurons will become more plastic in a good aspect. But whereas you started practicing most of the time negative things only, every day you are feeling sad, every day you are complaining, and every day you are going through a lot of negative emotions and stress and anxiety, then your neuroplasticity in a dark side make that very easy. And no matter, just simple things also make you more fearful and more stressed and anxious. And you decide what exactly, as I said, neuroplasticity is a double-edged sword. If you know how to use it, it will work to create a best of life for you. But if you don't know how to use the neuroplasticity, then it will work like it will cut your life itself. So be mindful of, and then understand where to use and how positively you can use your neuroplasticity and other, whatever I have told you. And then make sure you use them in a positive right direction, so that your life will be much more better. So this is what about the health benefits. There are significant health benefits, and this is the one practice, if you can include in your life, you will get a lot of benefits. Okay, compared to any other practices, this is the one practice which you could take it in your life and practice, which could dramatically change your life in lot of, in 360 degrees, I would say, okay, in your life. And then coming to the life, as most of the people think that it is not something happiness that brings us gratitude. Okay, it's a gratitude that brings happiness. As I said, if you really wanted to be happy in your life, then you should start to learn to be grateful for, and start showing your gratitude. Then slowly you will be started feeling happy. The moment when you started feeling happy, then your life will be much more better. But most of the time we always expect our life to be happy, then we wanted to show gratitude. But without seed you are expecting the fruits, and it's not going to happen. Instead, you sow the seed of gratitude, then reap the fruits of happiness in your life. And that is what is going to happen with this practice of gratitude. And try to change your approach towards things. And then a lot of times people always say that I want to be successful, once I become successful I'll be happy. But happiness is something, it gives you the success, and happiness is something comes from gratitude. So think of like this, and then gratitude is a seed for most of your day-to-day life success. Okay, and then next one is, a lot of times, as I said this line in the previously also, most of the time we always focus on what we don't have, and then we feel very bad. And we always, very less time we focus on what we already have. So when we focus on what we have, we gain more. When we focus on what we lack, we lose even more what we already have. As I said, if you're not valuing something which you already have, then slowly eventually you will lose what you have. Instead, feel happy and grateful for whatever you have in your life. Then you will be bestowed upon with more and more things in your life. Means you will receive more blessings. If you are feeling very blessed with what you have, and God or nature will bestow upon you more blessings, and you can achieve more and more in your life, and you can get so many things in your life. And change this mindset of always complaining about what you don't have. Always start feeling happy about what you have, so that that helps you to get more and more in your life. And that is what I feel I experience in my day-to-day life, and that is helping me so much in day-to-day life also. So this is what about the gratitude presentation. And understand what is the essence of this particular concept, and why we need it, and what exactly our life in terms of going through gratitude practices, and then implement in your day-to-day life. Then you can see much more positive things and much more benefits you will observe. And as I said, like, one of the very highest positive feeling in law of attraction also I have explained, it has a very high frequency and vibration. When you are having the gratitude feeling inside you, then you will be meeting a very great people in your life, and that eventually changes your life in lot of different directions. But when you are not having this element of gratitude in your life, then no matter how much you receive, then your life will be always unfulfilled, not fulfilled. So if your life wanted to be fulfilled, then add this one element. It's like, if you prepare any curry or any particular dish, then how much you add, then at the end of the day, if you don't add salt, then the taste of the particular will not be known, right? In the same way, the gratitude element is something brings the fulfillment and completeness towards our life, and that's what makes us who we are. And do never ever hide yourself when it comes to showing a gratitude. The more you showing gratitude, the better you receive. The more you receive, then give back to the people. The more you give back to the people, the better you receive the gratitude from the people as well. So this is what from today's presentation. Hope you learned something, and Successfully, I have completed within 1 month, 1 hour. Okay, means not 1 hour. I think it took nearly 1 hour, 10 minutes.